So let's read the verse. Tyakva sadharmam charanam bhujam hare bhajan napakko thakte tato yadi yatra pava bhadram abhudamushyakim ko varta apto bhajatam sadharmatah. Let's read the word for word. It's a very interesting verse. So far, Narada Muni was telling about the importance of the glories of this particular path, Bhakti Yoga, especially Bhagavatam way. And he's specifically telling in these next two shlokas as to what is the specific advantage of this as against all other processes. So let's read this thing. It's a very beautiful verse. Sorry, word for word.
Shall I read, Prabhu?
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay. Tyaktva, having forsaken Swadharmam, one's own occupational engagement. Charanambujam, the lotus feet. Hare, of Hari, the Lord. Bhajan, in the course of devotional service. Apakva, immature. Atha, for the matter of. Patet, falls down. Tatah, from that place. Yadi, if. Yatra, whereupon. Qua, what sort of. Va, or used sarcastically. Abhadram, unfavorable. Abhut, shall happen. Amushya, of him. Kim, nothing. Kaha va artaha, what interest. Aptaha, obtained. Abhachatam, of the non-devotee. Swadharmataha, being engaged in occupational service.
Translation.
One who has forsaken his material occupations to engage in the devotional service of the Lord may sometimes fall down while in an immature stage, yet there is no danger of his being unsuccessful. On the other hand, a non-devotee, though fully engaged in occupational duties, does not gain anything.
This is a very interesting thing. Is comparing between the devotee who may be falling down and non-devotee who is perfectly completed his duties or whatever. So before we discuss further, let's read the purport, because there is something very tricky in this particular verse, and which I had some idea for a long time, and then when I asked my Guru Maharaj, he corrected it so beautifully. So I think that point is very important to note here. Let's read this purport. Anyone wants to read the purport?
Yes, Prabhuji, can I?
Yes, please, Pankaj.
As per purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. As far as the duties of mankind are concerned, there are innumerable duties. Every man is duty bound not only to his parents, family members, society, country, humanity, other living beings, the demigods, etc., but also to the great philosophers, poets, scientists, etc. It is enjoined in the scriptures that one can relinquish all such duties and surrender unto the service of the Lord. So, if one does so and becomes successful in discharge of his devotional service unto the Lord, it is well and good. But it so happens sometimes that one surrenders himself unto the service of the Lord by some temporary sentiments, and in the long run, due to so many other reasons, he falls down from the path of service by undesirable association. There are so many instances of this in the histories. Bharat Maharaj was obliged to take his birth as a stag due to his intimate attachment to the stag. He thought of this stag when he died. As such, in the next birth, he became a stag. Although he did not forget the incidents of his previous birth, similarly, Chitraketu also fell down due to his offenses at the feet of Shiva. But in spite of all this, the stress is given here to surrendering unto the lotus feet of the Lord. Even if there is a chance of falling down, because even though one falls down from the prescribed duties of the devotional service, he will never forget the lotus feet of the Lord. Once engaged in the devotional service of the Lord, one will continue the service in all circumstances. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is said that even a small quantity of devotional service can save one from the most dangerous position. There are many instances of such examples in history. Ajamil is one of them. Ajamil in his early life was a devotee, but in his youth he fell down. So still he was saved by the Lord at the end. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, beautiful. So how many examples does Prabhupada give here?
Bharat Maharaj, then Chitraketu, Ajamil, three at least.
3, no? There are at least 3.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
before I share any points here, I'd like to hear from you all the specific thing that you are getting out of this shloka. Is it like, what is your the essence that you are getting from this shloka?
First of all, we should remember Lord at the end of our life, as in case of Bharat Maharaj.
No, that is correct, but I am talking about the essence of the shloka. But Bharat Maharaj case is there to support the essence of the shloka. But
it's Neha Vikramanatha. That devotional service is never lost. That is remembered by the Lord.
Mataji, I think you are driving, huh?
Yes, Prabhuji.
No problem. So you said Neha Vikramanashasti. That's the shloka that Prabhupada is quoting in the end also, right? When a small amount of devotion done, it goes a long way. It stays on. It is not diminished in the course of time. In other words, bhakti is not under the influence of time. Bhakti does not come under the control of time. That's what it means. Correct? Can we take it that way?
Yes.
Right. That is something very interesting, because in this world, everything is under the control of time. Right. Everything is under the control of time except bhakti. So that's something which is very beautiful, because we always take shelter of those things which come under the shelter of time, which are come under the control of time. When we want to be out of the control of time, we cannot do so by taking shelter of something which is under the control of time. Our nature is that Atma is eternal, means it is not under the control of time. So if Atma has to live peacefully, it should not be controlled by time. It should not engage in activities which are, in other words, are being completely under the control of time. Like whatever you do, it decays, it is destroyed, isn't it? So when such a thing happens, we are disturbed. Our real cause of disturbance is that whatever we do, whatever we possess, they all come under the influence of time. And while we may be getting something, even after getting it, we are not very happy, isn't it? You get a very beautiful house, you get like your dream job, whatever. But still, there is always some amount of dissatisfaction in the heart, or the satisfaction is very transient. Why? Because everything in this world is under the control of time. So when something is there which is not controlled by time, that is what will give the when we are associating with it, or when we are taking shelter of that, then that is when the Atma can be really peaceful, because Atma is not under the influence of, supposed to be not under the control of time. But it is inside something which is the body, which is under the control of time. Correct? That is where that incompatibility is there. So it's always a challenge there. Correct. So that's the first point at which we can understand from here. So let's go forward. So here the comparison is done between two things. The first thing is, what are the two things? I will rather ask that way. The comparison is done between two things. What are those two?
Devotees
How a
and
devotee
non-devotees?
will fare and non-devotee will fare.
Okay, very good. Yes, Chitra Mataji also tried to say this. Yeah.
Yeah, same thing. Yeah.
So what is happening to a devotee?
Even if he falls down, there is no harm if he's taking shelter of the Lord.
Yeah, even if he falls down in what? In his devotional practices, devotional activities.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
No, and what is the other thing that he is doing? He's doing two things here.
He has forsaken his material occupation.
Yeah. First thing is he has forsaken his material occupations also. He's disgusted with it or just fed up with it. He is taking up to devotional service. In devotional service also he is not able to complete it properly. In mature stage he falls down. Right. That's where Bharat Maharaj's example is aptly given. Right. So, but in spite of that, it looks like it is thing on both sides. The power of bhakti is such that it will continue to stay on as his, he will remember it. And the next couple of verses that will come, what Prabhupada said here, that once you do devotional service even little bit, you will never be able to forget that experience. Mukunda Sevi Anyavadanga Samsati. Smaran Mukundangari Upaguhanam Puna. The verse number 19 is very, very interesting. That's what he is Prabhupada telling ahead of time. So you will continue the service in all circumstances. That's a beautiful thing. Even though there may be some cases where like we fall down, there are cases of devotees like Bharat Maharaj is a very, very, he is giving the examples of Bharat Maharaj and Chitraketu here. The two people who have really achieved perfection in their life, in their devotional life. Isn't it? Bharat Maharaj was completely in Bhava stage and yet left everything. He was not renouncing halfway his kingdom, family, everything, wealth and all that. He completely renounced it and then came to the ashrama, that Pulak ashrama. But then he was attached to a small deer and then he had to die in that way. And Chitraketu also, he achieved such perfection that he could see by chanting the prayers of Narada Muni, he could see Shankarshana, Lord Shankarshana face to face, and he was staying in that loka. And then he was moving around with his assistants, and then in that process, he came across Kailash, where Lord Shiva and Mother Parvati were there, and he made a little offense in the sense, but then he was cursed by Parvati, and then he became Vritrasura. So there is one more life here to take, right? But if you see, what is the beauty here? In a common thing, beauty here. Ajamila will come later, but these two, what is the common beautiful point here, which we can identify as a common thing about devotional service, a unique thing about devotional service.
They perfected their life in their next birth.
Sorry, come again. Somebody was saying, I didn't hear it properly.
They had remembrance of the Lord.
Yes, Mataji, that's true. Both of them, they were able to remember the Lord in the next life also. And in fact, their past lives also. Because of the perfect remembrance, they're able to remember the past lives also. Ajay Prabhu, if you remember, we discussed one shloka in that session at your home, right? A couple of days ago. Ahara Shuddhe Sattva Shuddha, Sattva Shuddhe Dhruva Smriti, Smriti Lambe Sarva Granthi Nami Pramokshaha. Right? If you take Sattvic, Shuddha Sattvic Ahar, Sattva Shuddha, we stay in the pure mode of goodness. And then when staying in the pure mode of goodness, our memory capacity increases, Smriti Lambe, and then it increases, it goes beyond this life also, beyond past lives and everything we are able to remember. And Smriti Lambe, Sarva Granthina, Vipramoksha. When your remembrance about the past life is there, then your repentance of not able to achieve perfection in spite of the good things that you did pushes you even more in the devotional process in our practices. So they become even more intense. That's why Jada Bharat Maharaj is the best example. He made sure that he will not speak a single word in spite of whatever happened to him in his life. So how much ever people exploited, he didn't speak a single word. He acted like a deaf and dumb. Because he knew in the past what he was. Right? Dhritarashtra also, because of that past remembrance only of Chitraketu, as his body is Chitraketu, he wanted to go back to Godhead in that lifetime itself. That's why he was ready to be killed by Indra, even though he could have killed Indra as well. In fact, he did swallow him and almost killed him. But he knew that with the Narayana, he cannot win over Narayana Kavacha. That's a beautiful point there. Right? So, when we are really doing pure devotional service, it's not that we have to remember all the past, but remembering the past is one of the impetus to do devotional service. Even without remembering the past, a devotee will, even if he's not remembering the past lives, a devotee will be aware that, oh, I have wasted my time so much that I should do more intense devotional service and not take any more entanglement into this life. That's how they will feel, and that way they will intensify their bhakti, right? So this is a common thing about the two cases where Prabhupada is talking about. So their thing is they have achieved perfection and they were falling down. Both Chitraketu and Bharat Maharaj, they achieved almost perfection in their life and then they fell down because of a small thing, offense or an attachment or whatever. But the beauty is that whatever they did then was retained in their account. It survived the test of time. That because of the time, the thing changed. Right? What do you call the entire thing changed. Body changed, mind changed, place changed, location changed. Your people who are associating with, all of them changed, isn't it? Bharat Maharaj was associating with his very well cultured people in his family, society, and all that when he was a king. But when he became a deer, the relatives, everybody were dear friends. He didn't associate with the same people, but he was in the deer body also. He was remembering his past life, about his devotion, about his all other things that he did. So it's a very interesting common point between the two here. This shows the power of bhakti. It stands the test of time. And the second thing is, you will continue from wherever you have left in the previous life. For Ajamila's case also, if you come there, he also moved on from a very good devotee to like a debauchee, whatever other things that he was doing. But as soon as he remembered Narayana, his thing was starting from where he left. Right? This purification and other things continued on from there. So this particular verse is very, very, very important for us to understand the power of bhakti. Always, our spiritual master would often say this point, that this power of bhakti, never ever underestimate the power of bhakti. It may look like somebody is just doing here and there, going around, whatever. Maybe yes, they may not be looking like a devotional service. We also, in that sense, maybe sometimes somebody may call it that way. But is not a devotee, just showing off. All those things may be there, but whatever we are doing, even in that little bit of sincerity when we are doing, Krishna gives us the Krishna watches over us, and he gives us the required benedictions or gifts for whatever we have done sincerely till that point. So that part we should never doubt, that Krishna is not a good judge. That part we should never doubt that way, that Krishna will not bestow the required thing for us like that. He always bestows the right thing to the right people. In fact, he gives more than what we deserve. That's how the devotees always continue. Okay, so this is a nice thing. And now, okay, so this is talking about a devotee who has given up his life. One who has forsaken his material occupations to engage in the devotional service of the Lord. Okay. Does it mean, I'm going to ask you this question, does it mean that we can give up whatever occupational duty that we are doing and just neglect it and then do devotional service? Is it what this particular shloka imply? Or if you do it that way, what will be the result?
No, it doesn't imply that way.
So that's how do we understand that? Why it is not? How do we understand this word tyaktva then? Tyaktva means having forsaken.
So it
Prabhu,
means that. Sorry, please go ahead.
Prabhu, does it mean that one who differentiates between the material occupations and devotional service, then he can be understood to have forsaken? But when who is someone who is looking at his material occupations in the service, then he cannot forsake.
That's a good point. If that is, see, when you see material occupation as devotional service, there is no question of forsaking. No.
Yes, Prabhu.
When we are seeing that as a different thing, or in other words, he might be very busy in managing his family, other things, and all that. At that time, he may not be Krishna conscious. Suddenly, he realizes that, oh, this is a very important thing I should do. Right? Many of us have come across that way. I mean, but we have not forsaken our material occupations as such. So here, this is talking about a person who has given up one side also, and in whatever he was trying to do, that also he is not able to complete properly. But here, that's what we normally understand, right? This forsaken his material occupation is given up his material occupation and then come to devotional service.
Is he talking about Vairagya, Prabhu?
No, Vairagya is there. Vairagya detachment you're talking about, right?
Yes.
No, Vairagya is one thing, but apart from the Vairagya part, what is this Tyaktva mean? I see Shivakumar Prabhu raising his hand. I saw him raise his hand earlier also. Maybe he wanted to make a point, but Prabhu?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavad Pranam.
Dandavad Pranam Prabhu.
Prabhuji, so in this forsaken meaning, for the rest of the world, it will look like forsaken, but he is completely situated in Krishna, and he is doing all the duties. He doesn't differentiate between material and spiritual. Is that the way we should understand?
That's exactly how we should see it, Prabhu. For the outside world, it may be forsaken, it may look like forsaking, but it is not actually forsaking. Actually, this question I asked Maharaj, that's where I'm coming to, because when we read this shloka, it looks like it is kind of giving some benefit to those devotees who have taken up devotional service, saying that don't worry, if you haven't done this thing properly, then this will work. But this also I am falling. It's okay, whatever you have done in this life, that also is good enough. It will stay on forever. Right? It seems like a concession, isn't it? For someone who is doing devotion. Yes or no?
It is looking that way, but I ideally, if we dovetail our all the duties, material duties for the spirit, for the lotus feet of the Lord, then it is not that way. That's what it means, right, Prabhuji, in this verse?
Yeah. So when I asked this question to Maharaj, Maharaj first said this is a consolation verse for the devotees. He said it consoles us. It's a consolation. We say this, no, like, oh, I left all my business and everything, and I came to do devotional service. Here also, I'm not getting the required satisfaction. Oh, if I'm not getting it here, then it is better off. I will be better off in the other world, and all those things people say sometimes, no. So that's why this verse is firstly he said that this is the first point he said that this is to give us encouragement. Consolation means to give encouragement to the devotees, because when we are following the devotional path, we are faced with so many challenges, and those challenges when they come, we should not give it up just like that. The bhakti, I mean to say, the process that we are doing, the services that we are doing, just because somebody is criticizing, somebody is not doing well, if we just give up our devotional service, then that doesn't augur well for us. So anyone who is in the process of bhakti, we should not worry about say what someone else is telling about us, also we telling about others, we observe someone else in a different way. Those things should not come into the way at all. So our devotion service should go on. Seeing these examples of Chitraketu and all. Next, he said a very, very beautiful point, which I then realized I could connect with Chitraketu and our other Bharat Maharaj also. Tyaktva, actually in Sanskrit, he said it means that you finish your activity and then do tyaktva. Not that leave it halfway through. So here forsaken does not mean that he has left it halfway through. It means he has done his best, and then later he gives up everything. He gives up that. So it's tyaktva. You will finish your activity and then do tyaktva. So when suppose you have to, when we are, that's when the merging thing happens. Like when you see when you see no difference between material and the spiritual, then it is a merging point, right? Until that point, you may be doing that same work as a material thing. I mean, material means for me, like that. The moment you turn into Krishna consciousness, what happens? You do the same thing for Krishna's pleasure, not for my pleasure, not for my pleasure. So when you see for Krishna's pleasure, you open it up to the wider vision, like everybody becomes our the source of or object of our pleasure, in fact. for whoever we can give our services to, isn't it? So that is where we are forsaking, means we are forsaking the mentality of the material occupation. That I am doing it for myself, not the occupation itself. You may do the same occupation. You may continue to work. You may continue to serve. You may continue to do whatever. Your professional, your personal things, whatever. Certain, I mean, whatever time it is required to go on. But one who is forsaken means he has forsaken the mentality of his material occupation. That's what Tyaktva. So there are two parts to it. One is you finish the duty and then Tyaktva, like how Krishna says, Karmanyavadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachina. Right? So ma phala hetu, ma karma phala hetu, ma te sangostu akarmani. So he is telling that you do the activity, but don't worry about the result. That is where the Tyaktva happens really. Right? That is where the actual Tyaktva happens. So you do, after doing the activity, if you are still holding on to, oh, I need the result, etc., then you won't be able to achieve anything. We won't be able to concentrate on the devotional service also properly. Got it? So this is a very, very important point that he taught us. That when I asked him this question, I asked this question like as a devil's advocate actually, because many times we think that, oh, this work is too much for me. I cannot. You can reduce. Like say for example, if you are working like 15 to 20 hours as a literally like a ghost, we are working, and then it spoils our health and so on. Then we reduce it to a saner timing. Your incoming salary may be less, but then you don't mind it because you are able to live with less requirement. You are able to live more simple life. Because of simple life, your needs also is brought down. Because the needs are brought down, you are not really you don't really need so much of income to support you. So this is how our the whole thing comes down, right? What you if you in our material living, you may require, say in India, for example, you may require minimum 1 to 2 lakhs to or 5 lakhs to live, like a luxurious life. When you bring it down, your needs to simpler requirements, then you can live with saner life simply in 50,000, 1 lakh rupees. Also, you can within that amount. Also, you can live. Some people live even in 20k, 25k also. I mean, it's not live a poverty life, but just enough kind of yavadartha basically. So when you reduce it that way, then you will have more time to say meditate on these kind of activities. Like Rajesh Prabhu is the best example. You were telling the other day that how your reduced work hours is giving you so much more time to study the scriptures and do your other activities and other things like that, isn't it? So this is where this Tyaktva comes in two parts. One is you are doing a Tyaktva in the form of converting that material thing, removing that material mentality in our occupation into spiritual mentality. That is one way you are giving the Tyaktva. Second thing you are doing is that you are removing the result part of it, looking for the result part of it, and instead giving it to Krishna, and so that you are actually finishing the job, but not with the aim of enjoying the result. You understand what I'm saying? So that is where Tyaktva means give up the attachment to the results, basically. That is what is the hidden point here that Maharaj brought out. So when you do it that way, you will be a family man. You will finish you will settle everybody, and then you will move out. If you are at that particular age. So it is always said that you do things at the right time. Don't prematurely give up in that sense. So that is where you see many times, even in our society also, or even outside also, when people don't get the required material things at the material at the time, at the specific time. Not that it's in our hands. In some cases, it may not come also. Like say they have to get married on time, they have to get say a job on time, they have to say whatever that they need to do in a certain time, so and so time. If they don't do that, they get disturbed, isn't it? That is one thing that is always disturbing us, and these things don't happen on time. But the responsibility also comes with it, right? You cannot say, "Oh, I got a job, but I will not work." You can't say that I got married, but I will not take care of my family. So the responsibility comes with it. That responsibility has to be done immaculately well. That's what pleases Krishna, right? He says, "Sadharmo vigunaha paradharma sonishthita." Even if you do your own work imperfectly, that is better than doing someone else's work imperfectly. Right? There are times when certain things may not happen, like in our life, what has to happen at a certain time may not happen. But we should not be overly depressed by it. Because at the end of the day, it is our karma. Not everybody's karma is such that everything has to happen as and when it is required. But whether it is happening or not, it doesn't bear any significance into our loving service to Krishna. That is why if you see in almost all the cases where we are seeing devotional devotees, you see everybody had some shortcoming or other. You take anybody, their life had something which was missing. Even in Bhagavatam, you will have something that was missing. Bhishma Deva was not married. He didn't have the he was never a king, isn't it? Gajendra was an animal. What is that beautiful shloka? Just give me one second. Just trying to this opens. Oh my God, it's not opening. Yeah, the Charanam Druvasya Vayaka. Let me open that. We'll then try to search for that. It's a beautiful shloka it is. Very nice shloka from Haribhakti Vilas. Yeah. Yadasya charanam druvasya chavayo vidya gajendrasya ka kubjaya kimunam rupmadikam kim tat sudamodanam Shako vidurasya yadavapate ugrasya kim paurusham bhaktya tushyati kevalam na chabunayat bhakti priyo madavaha. Very beautiful verse it is. I'll tell you 10 different items he's given. So Vyadasya Acharanam means Yada means that hunter, the Dharma Vyad is called as Dharma Vyad. So what was his piety? He didn't have any piety, but he had perfected his life. That story is a different story. We'll come to that later. Then the next is Dhruvasya Kavayo, means Vaya, means age. Where was Dhruva's age? And he did devotional service. He was hardly 5 years old. And then Vidya Gajendrasya Ka, the elephant, what knowledge he had. Kubjaya Kimu Nama Rupam Adhikam. Where is Kubja's beauty? Kubja had no beauty. There is shortcoming for her also. Right? And then Kim Tat Sudamno Dhanam. Sudama didn't have any, he was a poverty, poor, number one poor person. But still he was able to attain Krishna. Vamsa Ko Vidurasya. Vidura's Vamsa, what was that? He was son of a maid servant. Till the end, even Duryodhana was actually insulting him with that same thing. And Yadava Patir Ugrasya Kim Paurusham. Ugrasena didn't have any chivalry or valor because his own son could imprison him and he could threaten him. But he could do devotional service too. But all these people are able to satisfy Krishna. Bhaktya tushyati kevalam. Krishna is satisfied only by bhakti. Nacha gunayar. Bhakti priyo madhav. Bhakti is the only dear thing. He's not worried about guna. You are great, this, that, etc. He's not worried about all your wealth, your name, fame, your followers and all those things. That is not what Krishna is after. Only thing he is after is our Bhakti Priya. Bhakti is that's why his name is Bhakti Priya. Bhakti Priyo Madhav. So this is how perfection in our material life is not a criteria to achieve perfection in spiritual life or attaining spiritual life, taste for spiritual life. At the same time, if you work hard in your material life, the tendency to work hard without expecting the results, where it actually merges into our spiritual activity, right? Then that helps us do our spiritual life also without do our spiritual activities also without any interest in the results, without any expectation of the results. In other words, you would enjoy the work itself, enjoy the service itself. You got it? So in that case, you will not be worried, oh, what will happen if I am fallen. If that worry is there, that's why this shloka is a consolation shloka, encouragement shloka. Don't worry. Don't worry that these great people who have fallen down, what will happen to me? Even they were able to attain perfection. And if not like one life, it can be 1 or 2 lives extra. But even in that also, because they had achieved that much perfection in that first life itself, they were able to remember, they were able to continue. They were able to continue in the subsequent lives. On the other hand, a non-devotee, though fully engaged in occupational duties, does not gain anything. Why? Because he is non-devotee means he doesn't see Krishna as the controller. He doesn't see Krishna as the enjoyer. He doesn't see Krishna as the protector. That's where the non-devotional aspect comes. Got it? So he may be so much absorbed in the occupational duty, but if he thinks that I am doing, there is no Krishna, whatever, no, there is no belief in Krishna or someone supreme controller, whatever, then he does not gain anything. Even though he might be glorified all over the world, why he does not gain anything? He will have to leave every single thing in this world and go. His name, fame, properties, his followers, people, so many people he may have. You will have to leave all of them and go. It's a blatant truth in front of us, isn't it? Like we see people dying day in and day out. What do they take with them? Like that Alexander's last wish was that you make the coffee in such a way that my 2 hands should come out, and it should be like I should show like this, where the people should know that I gained all these things, but I'm going empty-handed. Right. And then he said the people who should carry my coffin are the doctors who were trying to treat me, because it should show that way they will know that these doctors or no one else can protect you when the time comes to leave the body. And then he said, throw all the money in the street so that people will know that none of the money that or the wealth that he gained could save him. That's a realization which he could get it after conquering all the world. So, well, we live the whole life that way, and then what do we gain at the end of the day? Nothing much really. Right? So this is a very, very beautiful question to think. Take a step back, just pause a moment, have a deep breath and see what we are doing. Is it worth doing it? Is it going to take us where we are going, where we have to go? But at the same time, it does not advocate in any way to prematurely give up our occupational duty. He talks about forsaken. That's why that word forsaken is very important. He did not say one who has immaturely given up his material occupation. And the examples Prabhupada that quoted is also that the two examples which he quoted, Chitraketu and Bharat Maharaj, they did not leave it halfway through. Chitraketu finished his job completely. He was also, he didn't have a child, and the only child he got also died after 5 years. Right? Then what happened? He got Narada Muni and Angira Muni's blessings. After that, he decided to whatever this thing properly settled everything, and then decided to leave. And that's how by continuously chanting the mantra of Narada Muni that Narada Muni gave him, he attained Lord Sankarsana. But again, there he did immaturely some offenses, whatever was committed. Still, he got the Vitrasura form where he was continuing to be a devotee. Vitrasura did not have to be taught how to be a devotee. He was devotee from day one when he was born. Jada Maharaj did not have to be taught how to be a devotee. He was a day one devotee from when he was born. Right? Because why? Because he was remembering his past life as a devotee. In his past life, the devotional thing kept coming, and he was able to understand that, oh, I left it halfway through, I have to continue. This time I should not fail. It's like someone who has written the competitive exams, whether it is NEET or IIT or whatever exams. The first time they might have prepared well, but they might have missed something and lost it. But the second time when they appear for it now, they will know better. They will have a better, they will definitely have a little edge over others who are doing it first time, isn't it? Because they will know this question means this answer, this question means this. So they could do a little faster thing. So because that's how it works. In the past, whatever they have done comes from there. Okay, Shiva Prabhu, you seems to have raised your hand.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. I was contemplating on non-devotees does not gain anything. So does not gain anything means he might be improving materially and Krishna will be offering more material chances if he is endeavoring. But when we read the word does not gain anything, it's in the account of spiritual account. He will not gain
whatever
anything.
Whatever he is getting will be a result of his karma. So what it does is, suppose you have done a good karma and you are getting something, some enjoyment in this life. It is happening at the expense of your karma thing being reduced. It's like normal bank balance where you suppose you have 50,000 rupees. You withdraw 25,000 rupees from there. In the bank, only 25,000 will be there.
Correct.
The 50,000 will not be there. Understand? Like that, you have done some pious activity in the past life because of which we are getting something in this life. But that getting something in this life doesn't mean that we'll keep on going forever. The problem is that karma, which is the source of our enjoyment, that has also reduced. In other words, suppose you've done something because of which you get some good birth or some wealth and all that. You cannot get with the same karma, you cannot get another birth and have another very luxurious life. You got it?
Yes. Got it. So does not gain anything means
Does not
we
gain
have to
anything.
lose
That karma,
everything in this life itself.
Exactly.
But
See the beauty.
if
1 minute. Sorry. The beauty is
sorry.
that karma is also diminishing. The result of that karma which you are enjoying, this is also diminishing, and you are not going to take it up. Both are diminishing. Understand?
Okay. And one more thing, does not gain anything means for a spiritually endeavoring person, his account is stable and he tantamounts over and above that. So only material person loses everything.
Yeah, because you have to see it in the long run. Like say, suppose for you have say someone becomes a CEO and he is like ruling and all that. Few years it may go on, but after some time there will be some things that will come and they will have to give up. Either the company will go for a loss, or if they are going good also or something also, his aspirations might be different and he may have to move out of it. He may be moved out of it.
Okay, one question, Prabhuji. So for even a materially endeavoring good person, does Krishna give opportunity to think about him, or he will never, or is it on the person's accord, or it's Krishna's accord?
You mean to say that person
Who's
is
materially
only looking?
endeavoring and he's doing his duties perfectly good. Now, if Krishna is gracing, is it because of Krishna's grace or his the person's own accord to think about Krishna and come to Krishna consciousness?
It can be both. See, that is why we have this Ajnata Sukriti, we say, no? Like unknowingly, they might have committed some, they might have done some bhakti service, right? So that is the case where people are like, they would have just done something unknowingly, they would have heard somewhere, they would have helped somebody, some devotee, something, that devotee would have blessed. And that becomes the source of their starting point of their bhakti. Like that is one part of it. On the other side, we also say Kripa Siddhana. We don't deserve anything, but still Krishna shows the Kripa.
Hare Krishna. Okay.
Through Kripa, we are. I mean, there won't be anything in my life that would have caused, say, some devotion in me. But like by mercifully, the pure devotees or acharyas and somewhere they come all the way to give us this thing, right? It can be a combination of both.
Okay, understood. Thanks, Guruji.
It's a good
Hare
question.
Krishna Prabhuji.
Yes, Mataji.
You were saying if we are enjoying something, it is at the cost of our good karma. It's getting diminished. So same thing. If we are falling sick, if we are not well, that is then also we can think our bad karma is diminishing. Like that also we can think, Prabhuji.
It's
Like
not
we
just
can think like
thinking;
that.
it is true.
Okay, so we have to be actually happy when we are not well because our karma is going.
Yeah, I heard a very interesting incident. One of the sannyasis who was walking around in Govardhan Parikrama, and he was doing Govardhan Parikrama, and he got pricked by a thorn, and blood started coming out. And he was catching hold of it, like, oh my Krishna, I mean, I'm feeling so much painful. And one Brajvasi came by that way, and he started dancing, jumping up and down, raising, Jai Jai Radharani ki Jai, Krishna ki Jai, like that he was jumping, and then this Maharaj became very annoyed. I'm suffering in pain and you are jumping in joy. He said, no, no, no. Radharani has prepared mercy on you. Blood going out means our bad karma is going out. So she has been so merciful to you. I am working for so many years. I am not getting any prick or anything. Radharani is not merciful to me, but she is very merciful to you, he said. And Maharaj told very nicely that, yeah, because you don't have any bad karma, that's why she doesn't tweak you. Otherwise, I have bad karma, so I have to do this. And that is also the case where Bhishma Dev also tells that, when all the blood is taken out of his body by Arjuna's arrows. That is another beautiful example. He says the bad karma of Duryodhana, which was in me in the form of, because I was living at his expense, so that also had its impact. So now all the blood is taken away by Arjuna's arrows, that now I can speak everything more. That is a humble state. He is Bhajana always anyway, but he takes a humble position that way. So devotees always never think that I might have done something good in my past life, that's why I got it. That is another thing. They always say, I don't deserve. I didn't do anything that is worthy of my this my opportunities, golden opportunity to be in the association of devotees or anything. Just, but Krishna has his one inconceivable mercy. That is how devotees see. While tattva-wise, yes, Ajnata Sukriti plays its role. But devotees say, I don't deserve this thing at all. I would not have done anything that is worthy of being called as a cause of my this devotion. It is only the Acharya's kripa, is Krishna's kripa that is bestowed upon him. And when we see that way only, we can actually progress in devotional service. That because that is the way we are giving our what should I say, maximum respect, maximum awe and reverence to Guru and Krishna. I don't deserve to be lifted up by my Guru, like Prahlad Maharaj prays. No, I was jumping into the well, a blind well of illusion, following all the karmis. My Guru Maharaj, Krutva Atmasat, he was so mercifully, he lifted me out of that blind well of snakes. And how can I give up his service? I don't deserve this at all. Bali Maharaj also says the same thing. I don't deserve this at all. How merciful is Krishna? I was only thinking of paying obeisance. I didn't even pay obeisance because our surrounding people were all there. I was worried what they will think if I pay obeisance. I was simply thinking of paying obeisance. For that, you have given me such a great mercy. If I actually paid obeisance, how much more I would have got? See. Nice question, Revati Mukherjee. Okay, any other questions, comments? Very close. This is one of the best shlokas.
Prabhu.
Best. Yes, Prabhu.
So one of the ways, based on the discussion, I am seeing this shloka or this purport is if you look at the bigger picture, the big picture, we all have to progress back to Godhead. That is progress, right? And what is required for that progress, because we have to take many births to get there, is memory of the previous birth, so that I'm not going in a circle. So if I have some knowledge, then I can take it and go closer and closer to Godhead. So if you are a bhakta, you are bestowed that boon that you can take some memory. But if you are not a bhakta, you are not given any memory. That is why you do not gain anything.
Memory of what?
Memory of the previous birth. Because in the previous birth...
That's what I told you, Prabhu. No, that I told earlier. No, see, this memory of the previous life may be bestowed to someone, may not be bestowed to someone. That we cannot always expect to be like Jada Maharaj and Gajendra or Chitraketu to remember the past. Not everybody may be given the chance to remember the past, but that does not disqualify you from devotional service. These are certain examples where, because their remembrance of Krishna was not disturbed or diminished by the power of time, they could remember the past life also, even though there was some little fall down there. In the previous life, they were doing perfect devotion service, but they fell down because of a small mistake. But Krishna has been merciful to bestow their remembrance to them. That's what he's telling. That's what you have to see. And the most important thing that we have to understand, not misunderstand here, is that we cannot take this shloka as a what do you call, as our excuse for giving up our occupational duties. Thank you, Lalita Pratimataji. We'll discuss offline also in the group. Thank you. I think she's leaving. So the thing is, we should never take this as an excuse for giving up our material, our occupational duties, not material duties. As we said, we have to forsake only the material mentality of our occupation. So for some reason, there may be failure in our occupation. For some reason, we may not be successful in our occupation. But that does not mean that, oh, I am not getting success, let me leave it and go to devotion. Devotion service should not be like a catch-all exception, like, oh, I'm failure here, let me go there. That should not. We carry the mentality also. That mentality of say, like, what is that word? Easy going type. You don't want to struggle hard. You want everything easy. Like I don't want to struggle hard, but I want the results. I don't want to work hard, but I want the salary. I don't want to do the activities and devotional service, but I want the mercy. These things don't work. When I see someone getting more salary than me, I immediately think, why can't I get? Why I'm not supposed to get? We don't understand that he has a separate karma for himself. His karma might be, he might have done many other karma, whatever. In this lifetime also, he might have done much more than us. So these are the things which we should avoid as part of our doing our occupational duty in a Krishna conscious way. So we are asked to forsake the mentality of occupation, material mentality of the occupation, not the occupation itself. And secondly, when the occupation is finished, you come to the devotion service. Like you do your office work completely and then take to devotion service. Or if there's something in between, your thing is there, then after finishing your bhakti thing, whatever, chanting or whatever you are doing, then you get to the occupation again and somehow finish it off. See, like today, for example, I scheduled this call at 7:30 our time, right? 7:25. My colleague from say on-site is asking me to call him. So I told him I will be free after 8:30. I will do it. It's not something super urgent. You can do it afterwards. So if suppose I am tired or I'm running out of time or whatever, I can't just give it up that service. I still have to go and talk and make sure that that job is done for the day. That is what is forsaking the material occupation. If I say that, oh, that is anyway not going to do anything for me, but it's in Bhagavatam itself says does not gain anything, why should I necessarily go and call him again? But the point is, our breathing, our lifestyle, everything is dependent on that Lakshmi that is coming from there. So how can you think that the Lakshmi alone is required, but not the means by which you are getting it? Isn't it? That occupational duty itself, if you are doing it for a pleasure of Krishna, then the Lakshmi that is coming out of that occupational duty will also go a long way. This is a secret we have to understand. You understand the point? If I had to say, just to give an example, suppose you get some Lakshmi without having a consciousness that Krishna is doing everything and all that, right? So if you do that, then whatever you may get, you will lavishly spend it and destroy it. Right? It will just go away. On the other hand, suppose we understand this Krishna's mercy, Krishna's wealth, which is given bestowed upon us, we will be very careful in spending them. And we will, whatever we are doing, we will do it for Krishna's pleasure. So somehow or other, whatever we give, Krishna somehow brings it back in our life. It doesn't happen when that comes from our karma and using it for material sake. You got the difference? So because it is coming from Krishna, that wealth also goes a long way. It doesn't get destroyed by the influence of time. Right? Prabhupada's wealth, is it not singing of Prabhupada's glories even after he left this planet? On the other hand, I have a house which I bring get from my this thing. How long will people think about it? How long will people talk about it? Once one generation, two generation after that, people won't even remember us, isn't it? Do we remember our fifth generation grandfather? Right. So when we become the fifth generation or eighth generation ancestor in our family, nobody would even bother to think about us. They won't even remember our names. Whereas if you etch your names in Krishna's diary, it will stay forever. Prabhupada etched his name in Krishna's diary. That's why 50 years before he left, right? And still his glorification is only expanding. Why? Because every single penny that came to him, he utilized in Krishna's service. He never thought it is my election. He put everything in Krishna's hands. Otherwise, he would have built a big palatial bungalow or island for himself in somewhere and like stayed a peaceful life. There's so many so-called spiritual acharyas or gurus are doing this here, these stages. They have an island dedicated to themselves and whatever. Prabhupada didn't do that. That's why his name still expands more and more. So that's how we should understand this shloka. Very, very tricky, Otherwise, without the proper explanation of experienced Bhagavata, because Maharaj said, I always left everything. I lived an entire life in a sequence. I did my throughout my life. I did extreme hard work. So workaholic is actually, whether it was his studies. He was telling a very interesting point that in his young age, when he was, those days people had to struggle for everything, right? So they were not getting any salary, and he had to take care of his family, and then 10, 12 brothers, sisters, and mother and grandparents, and all that. And all he had was one. He was a single learning member, and he had to study. He had to work, and he had to take tuitions or training others also, teaching others also. So even he had a work in Nashik or somewhere, Nashik only. He went and told his boss, because he was the younger person and all others were senior to him. They were more qualified. So he asked the boss that the manager that, see, please, I want to study. Please allow me to study in my free time. Then that boss immediately said, no, I will not allow this. He said, why? He said, if you study more, then I have to give you more salary. I can't afford to give you more salary. But Maharaj just so beautifully he said, no, I don't want extra salary. You give me this salary only. I will not ask you for any extra salary, but I will study in my free time. Just allow me to do that. So he said, okay, you don't want extra salary. I have no problem in studying. So Maharaj studying continuously, and then was trying different things. Nothing was working. Suddenly one fine day, they said that in Pune they were taking people for Ethiopia. I'm talking about in 19, I don't know, 60s, 50s, 60s at that time. So people are taking somebody to go to Ethiopia. His friend saw this advertisement and said, hey, why don't you come? Let's go. So they went in the night from Nashik to Pune and stayed. They were actually staying in the platform only because they didn't have any place to stay. Just give me one sec. Okay. So there was just Maharaj was just lying down on the platform resting, and this friend was pacing back and forth trying to study maths formula and all those things. Maharaj was getting disturbed. Hey, why are you making so much sound, man? I want to sleep. He said, no, we have to study for the interview. And Maharaj said, if you don't know what he's going to ask in the interview, what are you studying for? They didn't tell me, I will ask you questions from physics, maths, or whatever, right? So what are you studying for? At least let me sleep. So they slept in the morning. Some of them got ready and they went to the this thing. They went to the interview place location. They saw that more than 200 people were standing in the queue. Everybody saw the advertisement. And so they only said you go to Ethiopia, take him to Ethiopia. What they will do work and that and all, nothing was mentioned there. So he said, okay, let's also stand in the queue. We don't know who they are going to take. And these people, they said that, they've come and looked. There's a long set of people are there. We can't sit and do the interview. So they said, let's go and pick out somebody who is there, just arbitrarily somebody. So they just went there. They just took 200 people for just 2-3 open slots. How will they fit? So they just went, plugged out 1, 2, 3 people, and in that 1, 2, 3 people, Maharaj was cut, and he had no idea. And that's how interview was done. No questions asked. Just pick people and just tell, okay, come on, you give your names, you will find visas for you. That's it. But after he got this thing, he said that we went to the manager of his current job, and he told him, I am getting a job in Ethiopia, so I am leaving the job and thing. He said, give me 2 months notice. So I find the manager 2 months notice. But in the meantime, what happened? There was a curfew in Ethiopia. Coup attempt, military took over. So they stopped all the visa processing. So if Maharaj job put at stake, I mean, he had nowhere to go. So he was worried if what will happen if he didn't get the job there also, and this is also going. So he went and told the manager that this has happened. So can you please allow me to continue till I get the visa thing or whatever. That manager was so envious that he said, now, not even 2 months notice, you leave now only. Today your job is, I mean, you are checked out. You are so envious. So Maharaj was really in difficulty. So many people to take care. Job is gone. No Lakshmi. And those days you do not have so many different options to save money and all. Like whatever comes, you will know 15, 20 days, everything will be gone. The last 10, 15 days, they will not have anything to really survive. So he was really in difficulty. He had no money, somehow or other here and there he was trying to gain. And for a few months they were living like that. After some time they were chanting. I was saying all I did was chant Ram's name that time. Nothing else I had. I had only the holy names with me. And somehow in due course of time the problem eased in Ethiopia, and again we were asked to go. Then that's how I just went on. So everywhere dependence on Krishna is very important, but not becoming loose in our activities. That's what I'm trying to say. Whatever is there for us, whatever is destined for us, we will get it in due course of time. There is no need to worry about if I will get it or not. Maybe that particular thing which we are asking may not be there, but something will be there to keep us happy. So our job is to, whatever comes, we are happy with Krishna's arrangement. No, why Krishna is not giving this, why Krishna is not giving that to me. That's the mood Bhagavatam sets us in. Bhagavatam helps us in get to that mood where whatever is coming by Krishna's arrangement is best for me. And that way we can be happy even after forsaking our material occupations and engage fully in devotional service of the Lord. There may be some hiccups fall down here and there, but still, as Bhagavatam promises us, we will not be forsaken by Krishna. We will be always tightly held by Krishna. This faith we should have. So this shloka, and next shloka we will read in the coming thing, whatever. We will see how the whole thing goes. Then we'll be able to, then the next verse is very, very beautiful also to add on to this, in relation to this. So we'll stop here. As we felt 10 minutes extra, we usually start 10 minutes late. So that's why I will to hold it a bit ahead. So if there's no questions, comments, we can close for today. And then continue maybe Krishna Wedding Saturday morning. Is there any questions, comments? One final question or comment which we can understand from this? Okay, we'll stop here. Anything else you can feel free to share in the group also, as that's a very nice way to carry on the mood as we are doing it, right? Carry on the brothers and sisters. Gaurav Prabhu, you had something to say?
Nothing, Prabhu. Nothing, Prabhu. Very nice explanation, Prabhu, in the last.
Bhagavatam has to be really taken in these practical terms, Prabhu. Otherwise, anybody can screw it up and say someone gives up his family and comes and joins, then they will say, okay, good, you did it. Family is a waste, this and that. They will give some preaching somehow to get. His motive is also to get people to for his temple or group or whatever. He is also personal motive only. There is no spiritual motive there. If he's really spiritually motivated, I don't know if you heard that example of that one devotee I told in the Hyderabad class about Maharaj called the parents of that boy instead of trying to hide that, right? So that's where they are able to appreciate the pure motive of that person who is guiding, isn't it? We are not recruiting people here to come to serve in the temple or whatever, right? In that, if that is the case, then we have to give salary to them. This is nothing new. So I mean, many such things Maharaj had taught us. When I asked this question towards the last phase of his Maharaj saying this world, 3-4 months before he left. I'm glad that I asked this question because it was always sitting in my mind. Why the sloka Maharaj is always insisting, do your duty, do your duty. Prabhupada, Krishna is insisting, do your duty, do your duty. But this sloka talks about forsaking devotion, forsaking your occupation. Anybody can take his excuse of this sloka and say, this is why I left my wife and came. This is why I left my family and came. Nobody will say, this is why I left my job and came. Money is more sweeter than honey, no? Right? So it's really, I mean, that's how we need, that's why we need like who have experience also. Who have done this, sequentially, they've gone through that experience. Thank you.
And many times
Yes,
people don't realize, I mean, usually this is highlighted in terms of when somebody leaves home and becomes a brahmachari, and then they say that you have forsaken your material occupation. And but many times people don't realize, I mean, they are as responsible as sons, and they don't realize it. I mean, they are very responsible sons.
Yeah. Maharaj always used to quote this example, mainly from Pune. He used to quote Pune, Mumbai, and other places also, that the brahmacharis are they are taken in only if they have scored certain marks in their subjects in the college, and then they have to earn some amount, certain amount, and give it to their parents and make sure that they are feeling secure in that way. And also, after coming to brahmacharya, this ashram also, they have to go and visit their parents regularly and spend some time with them. So all these rules are laid so that you don't prematurely you will see the day some boys are dancing. I'm really enjoying this environment. Why should I struggle hard in my college and studies and so on? Let me just jump everything. That will always be there in our teenagers and those ages. You have to be really careful. Otherwise, what happens is the society is being taken up like this. What is Menaka Gandhi's blabbered or something? It's good that we find some case answer. Right. So like that, people will say so many things. Some time ago, that kind of an allegation also came that is called stealing brahmacharis and all that. Sorry, boys and all that.
Yeah.
Then brahmacharis had to give some explanations through video things and all that. So this society is a very complicated society. This world is a complicated world. Even if you try to do good, you have to go through so much struggle to do that good. That's the biggest challenge. So, but still, devotees don't take a step back. They always go forward. They are very stubborn in their determination to serve everybody and bring everybody towards Krishna and to bring fearlessness in everybody's life. And this is the best way to bring the fearlessness. Thank you, Prabhu. So we'll stop here, Prabhu's Mataji's, and Krishna willing, we'll continue the